Welcome to Trekyards, and guess what, guys? It's One Hit Wonders time again. Captain Foley and Samuel Calkins are once again reporting for duty to teach you all about a new ship. Today we are looking at a very cool ship, and it's from one of my favorite Star Trek games, Star Trek Armada 2. That's right, a ship which has only been seen in the game world. Told you we were going to do that, guys. Okay, so the ship in question is the Cardassian Brinok class cruiser. So let's get right to it.
Yeah, that's right, guys. So obviously it's a game ship. Little information is known about it. That doesn't mean all this information is non-canon, sort of by definition, because it wasn't seen on screen. It's all from the game itself and our own deductions based on other Cardassian designs. So if anyone knows anything else, do let us know. But just a disclaimer, sort of non-canon game information. But that's cool. So let's talk about what we do know. This ship was, of course, Cardassian in origin, and it was in service by the year 2377, which was 2 years after the end of the Dominion War. And since we never saw it featured in any of the DS9 battles, we can assume it was not in service at that point. So it's quite a new ship. 2077, only 2 years after, so brand new, even.
This very unique double secondary hull design was equipped with a cloaking device and a devastating array of disruptors and torpedoes. This indeed made this vessel a force to be reckoned with and a truly lethal opponent.
So, for size, it's around 150 meters long, and to give you some perspective, the Galore class, which is obviously the iconic Cardassian ship, is 481, so this is a small Cardassian ship. To put in perspective for other ships at the time, the Orbeth class is just slightly smaller than this ship, so pretty small.
Yeah, the Orbeth is a small ship, actually. I was surprised by that.
Yeah.
Armed with 4 spiral wave disruptors, 4 secondary disruptors, and 3 torpedo launchers, it had a torpedo complement of 120, which shows their focus on weapons when compared to the 38 torpedoes on board a standard Starfleet Intrepid-class science ship.
Did they really use 38? Really? I seem to remember finding
They used 38. They used 38 for sure. Maybe a little bit more than that. I suppose they can replicate those, but...
So if Voyager has 38, the Brinok has 300 and something. Anyway. So anyway, just like the Defiant, which had a special armor, it had a blade of armor designed as an extra layer of defense if the shields go down. The Brinok also had a special sort of armor called Clendide. Clendide? What do you think's it?
Clendide
armor. While not as effective as the Defiant's blade of armor, it still gave the Brinok an ability to survive far longer in battles than other older Cardassian designs of the same class.
Now, this is a long-range patrol cruiser and could frequently be found patrolling the borders of the Cardassian Union. Because it was designed to be a long-range vessel, it could go for extended periods without needing to stop and resupply at a starbase or outpost.
So one quite cool thing about the ship, just like in Starfleet battles, this ship is actually equipped with a number of drones, or it can be in all its variations. Awesome thing about drones is that it can just send a whole ton of them, and they're extremely difficult to evade, so that can be a serious bother for any Federation or whatever people. One fun thing is that drones can actually be controlled by the ship, or set to be completely independent, meaning if the mothership is destroyed, they can still go off and be a threat. Not good.
Yeah, these drones allowed the Brinok to harass enemy ships, which would struggle to escape the literal cloud of drones surrounding them. You can certainly imagine facing 10 of these ships all launching drones. That would be a very serious problem for any Starfleet captain, I'm sure.
So this ship was obviously developed by the Cardassian Union Central Command and was designed and built as an answer to the Federation's Defiant, Hornet, and Sabre class starships. The Hornet, of course, is a Defiant variant.
It had 5 decks and a crew of 50, 10 officers and 40 other personnel, which was the same as the Defiant. It could, however, hold up to 80 people in an evacuation situation.
That makes a lot of sense if they're trying to sort of replicate the sort of class the Defiant is, so that is the same, isn't it?
Makes sense. Absolutely.
So while not the fastest ship in the Cardassian fleet, its cruising velocity is warp 6.7 with a max of warp 9. Although obviously, in an emergency, it could go up to warp 9.7 for 8 hours. But doing this for a long period could cause damage to the warp coils or blow up the ship. Okay, not that far, but damage to the warp system.
Yeah. Now, there was also a Brinok-class refit, which added new fins to the back, as well as replacing the Galore-style engine tips with a more modern flat style. This refit added even more armor and space for crew, making this ship even more capable. The one major thing removed in the refit was its primary spiral wave disruptor bank. While still leaving the 2 remaining banks, it was augmented with further torpedo, launchers, and drone bays.
Cool.
So even more pain in the ass.
So the refit focused primarily on maneuverability and, like you say, armor. So its new design refitted the original impulse engines with 7 larger engines, giving it a huge boost. So the original configuration had the same engines as a Glore class with that pincer aft impulse array, and then smaller wing-mounted impulse drives. The refits, however, had new impulse engines that were scattered around the entire ship and all larger. And the main drive was now at the back of the bridge, which seems like a strange place, but yeah, it looks a lot faster now.
Mm. So now it's on to the discussion part of the show, guys. I got to be 100% honest with all of you.
Aren't you always, Stuart?
Yes, I am.
But this one time, you're 100% times 100 something, I don't know. Continue.
Exactly, yes. I got to be 100% honest when I say I've never really used the Cardassians much in Star Trek Armada 2, as I almost exclusively use Federation, the Federation every time I play a Star Trek game.
Well, they're the funnest faction.
A lot of people disagree with me, and they use anything but the Federation when they get the opportunity.
I can see both sides. But
yeah. But I really like the way this ship looks. The double hull looks great, and it makes the ship feel very beefy. Also, the fact that it uses remote-controlled drones is kind of a cool sort of callback to the Starfleet Battles games.
Yeah.
You never really see drones in Star Trek, but they are a great and very useful weapon. So, they're kind of prominent in Starfleet Battles, so I like that they brought that back.
And I can see the Cardassians as being the sort of race that would use drones, definitely.
Yeah, well, they have that huge Dreadnought drone, remember, so...
Yeah.
So that is one of the things that I love most about the ship design, is the fact that it's drone capable.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I quite like the design. It's interesting, and I think a logical extension and evolution of the Cardassian aesthetic. I think it's interesting that it's got the basic structure of the Cardassian galore, well, doubled, but just on a smaller scale, which is interesting. But we know it can be done with Bird of Praise, sort of. So I think that's fine. But it'd be interesting to see a deck plan. I mean, how do you shrink the same design and then...
Yeah, well, we kind of discussed that with the Bird of Prey, though, like to make the Scout class Burrell up to the Covort class. It just... How do you do that without totally redesigning the ship?
Well, I guess they just like that shape. I mean, their emblem's that shape, so it's probably, evolution of a choice of evolution. So they just, but it'd be interesting though, just to see 5 decks in the same shape. I mean,
yeah, well, anything's possible in the Star Trek universe, I guess, size-wise.
Yeah, so I actually really like how beefy it looks. I mean, it does feel like a ship that can really do some damage. I think it's sort of on the line of just being a reuse of a galore, because honestly, it is just 2 slapped together. But I think, like I said before, the evolution works, and I think, yeah, it works. The standard version, it looks sleek, and the 3 disruptors definitely give it a mean appearance. I mean, this ship could do some damage. Although I think the refit is a superior design. I really do prefer it. It pushes you closer, I think, to the combined galore aesthetic, but the extra detailing really gives it a chunky feel. And I mean, you can't argue with more armor. I mean, it makes sense. And the fins at the back, I think that's a really interesting design choice. Not only does it complement the design, but it looks really cool. Although I could definitely see that pushing towards a Kelvin style of Cardassian ships. So there is design traits from everything. And what do you think of the difference between the refit and the normal?
Well, going into this episode, I didn't know about a refit because all I'd played was Armada 2.
Yeah.
And in our research, we did find out about the refit. And to be honest, I'm blown away with the way the refit looks. Yeah. The refit makes the side profile look much more interesting. Yeah. And like you said, more like the Kelvin type. I wish it could have been seen on screen, though, in the Dominion War battles. I think that would have been awesome. Even the original version would have been cool to see on screen. It is definitely a tough little ship, much like the Defiant.
I've heard that before. Yeah, Defiant.
Little. But I agree with you. The refit looks much more, or much better, sorry, with the extra detailing and more armor added. It's a great look as far as the refit goes, so I'm happy with it.
But I think what's nice about this refit compared to like the 1701 refit, the refit is for the original Constitution, it's more about upgrading the technology, whereas this refit, the Brinok, the original version is that sort of sleek frigate, whereas the refit definitely is more of an armored warship, I think. So I think they actually fit different roles almost. So it's more of a refit to a different style of ship rather than just the technology. So I quite like that. They're 2 distinct sort of versions. Yeah. I like it. Yeah. So obviously got to talk about things we don't like. So I'm not sure the scaling works. Okay. Again, love to see the floor plan. Love to see how it works. And the basic galore shape of it, I know it's a kit bash, yes, but it should have been changed a bit more to make it work. I think it does fit fine, but it would have been nice if it was a bit more unique. And I'm not, like you, the biggest fan of the Cardassian aesthetic. I mean, it's very alien, and I still appreciate what Rick Steinbeck did, but it's just my personal preference. But doing this show has definitely broadened my horizons in the sense that I can think more objectively about all these ships. So I've got to say that in terms of this compared to the other kit bash game Cardassian ships, because we only see 2 or 3 on screen, it's a really good design. I think, like I said before, it just fits really well. These are not negatives, are they? But I mean, I don't not like much about the ship. It would have been great to see it on the screen, like you say. I think it has a place in the Cardassian Armada. Armada. Get it? Armada.
See what you did there.
I know this is scripted, but I didn't realize that was a joke that I wrote and read the script through. So save me, Stuart. Go, continue.
Okay, well, as for what I don't like, there's not really much that I don't like except for the whole Cardassian aesthetic. So I basically don't like everything about it in a way. But
save it.
Like I said earlier, and like you just said, their whole aesthetic bothers me, always has.
Yeah.
But as far as Cardassian ships go, this is probably one of my favorites. So, something I really don't like would have to be the ship's side profile. It's, kind of goes right back to not liking Cardassian ships. They're basically all look alike from the side. Looks exactly like a Kelvin, a Galore. And there really isn't much to look at. So, although the refit kind of fixes that a little bit, makes it a little more interesting. The original Brinok design is much like the Defiance profile. I kind of hate that too, to be honest. It's so uninteresting and boring. But hey, how we said the Brinok was developed to compete with the Defiant? Maybe they meant to like make it as ugly and boring from the side.
Fans, get on him for that. Yeah. No, but although it's kind of interesting though. I mean, like I said before, the Cardassian symbol is basically the same shape. So it must be a case that is sort of one designer back in the original order, the original whatever Cardassian Union thing. They said, this is the design. That's perfect. So it makes sense they'd keep the same aesthetic the entire time. So you can't really complain them for that. It's just a cultural decision.
I can complain, and I will. Change it and suffer the consequences is what that designer said, and so they've just been scared ever since. So. Oh, hi, guys. Different day, different filming session, but we have a little addition to this episode.
We have Rick Sternbuck joining us today just to add an extra bit. There he is. On this episode, on this Brinok. So, Rick, what do you think of the Brinok, whatever you call it, original from Armada 2?
Because you are the godfather of the Cardassian aesthetic, as it were. So,
it's a very cool looking ship. Stylistically, it's got all the right Cardassian bits. The bridge section, the wings. You can recognize that as Cardassian from a great distance.
How kitbashy would you say it feels?
From the basic Cardassian style, this thing, you're taking hull parts, you're taking wing parts, and putting them together. And hey, to me, man, it just works.
So this ship is actually about the same size as the Defiant, Rick. So what do you think about the scaling down of the kind of Galore style hulls? Do you think that would work? And do you think what are your thoughts on that?
It's a pretty small ship.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at aircraft. A lot of aircraft have very similar shapes, and they vary wildly in size. If the Cardassians came up with a system that worked for them, with the engines, with warp fields, with impulse, with the tail stinger weapons, if it worked for them, why not simply change the scale? We've seen some interesting Cardassian ships over the years. This to me is just as valid.
And it should be pointed out too that this is loaded with drones as well.
Mm.
Ooh.
So it's a drone ship. I forget how many drones it has exactly.
And it's equipped with a cloaking device. What do you think about that, Rick?
Who'd they steal it from?
Exactly.
Well, it's post-Dominion War, so anyone. So there's also a refit version, which is on screen right now. bit different, bit more advanced, bit more detailed, and we in this episode say we love it. What do you think, Rick?
I think it's got some wonderful positive and negative detail. You know, you can get into art school talk about this sort of thing.
Yeah.
I love the the sort of pseudo tail fins to it. This shape in particular reminds me of those some of those little ancient gold sculptures of what the alien theorists think of as depictions of aircraft that came down thousands of years ago to visit us, and that's the vibe that I'm getting from this, and I think it's amazingly cool.
So it's official. Cardassians went back in time and visited Earth.
Or their ancestors.
It's not official. I don't know.
I like this one. I like the fins. I like the tail fins on it. It's very neat.
Cool. And so big thumbs up on the Brinok original Armada crew design.
Yeah, love them both.
Cool. So that's the end of our Rick segment. Thanks, Rick, for joining us. Spur of the moment on this episode.
Yeah, what a great way to end one of our little known ships that we got the designer of the original one that this is based on to comment on this. So that's awesome. Thank you very much for joining us for this little bit,
and now,
Rick. And
now we're going to fade out into the original end of the episode. Yeah, so just before we close, guys, that was awesome. Very different sort of ship. This is a ship that was only seen in a video game, and therefore there's not as much information. But, I mean, we as Trekyards, we always find out bits, we always work out things, we always have theories. So if you liked this, if you liked us doing a video game ship, let us know in the comments. We want to do more, we love video games, let us know, and we might do some more. It'd be great.
Yeah, and if you do know more about this ship, comment it below, because we'd love to learn more about it too.
If you have any theories, anything really, it's fun.
Yeah. Well, like we're just talking about the Defiant, so we kind of want to streamline our verses a little bit. So what do you think about doing, how do you think it would go between a Brinok and a Defiant, Samuel?
So is this now? Obviously, you say the Brinok was built to fight the Defiant, just like the Defiant was built to fight the Borg. So it'd fail miserably. The Brinok would just get I mean, the Defiant is a very strong ship. Cisco says it was built almost to break itself apart, and then to fix that. I mean, that says something. The Brinok, I think, has more weapons. I mean, 4 disruptors and 4 backup disruptors, and that's kind of an incredible amount of weapons for its size anyway.
Plus all the drones are independent.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And if you've got the refit, I mean, the armor, it's going to be... I mean, the refit probably extends the special armor, that I can't remember its name because it's really complicated. But then again, the Defiant, like I said, it's blade of armor and quantum torpedoes. I mean, but then again, I mean, the Dreadnought missile we saw from Voyager, that was a Cardassian design, and that had the first quantums we actually see chronologically. So I'm sure it has quantums as well, maybe? I mean, what do you think? I mean, who would win?
Well, it's interesting because they both have cloaking devices.
They
and
do.
I know that the Brinok has the drones, which are going to be a real major pain in the ass for any ship. But let's just assume that the Defiant has the self-replicating mines on board. Can drop a few mines. If it's being pursued by the Brinok. I don't know. I think it'd be a tough battle to kind of call, because I think they're pretty equally matched.
I think the Defiant would probably win if the Brinok was limited to photons, just because of the pure punch or quantum and the maneuverability. But then again, the Brinok, I mean, the amount of impulse engines it has is kind of ridiculous. It is a maneuverable ship, so I'm sure it's relatively on par. But obviously, its bigger stature means the more weapons, so it's that balance. I think if it got a few good shots, maybe. But quantums are quite a serious, battle-winning device. Although if they both are quantums, I think it'd be the captain and the pilot. That would be a big decider. I
was just gonna say Dax and Cisco and whoever they're fighting is.
Well, if put Worf on, it'd be ramming speed every time, wouldn't it? So.
Yeah, he almost lost that ship. So.
Yeah. Okay. Let's not give it to Worf again. But I think the Defiant. Come on, it's the Federation. I know you don't like it in terms of side profile, whatever. But the Defiant's still a great ship. I think we've got to say that would win because it's the Federation classic. But the Brinok is an interesting ship, and I definitely think the refit would be a big challenge.
Yeah, I don't want you to get me wrong. I don't hate the Defiant. I just hate the way it looks from the side.
That's why I qualified it. Yeah.
But
so I think I've got to give it to the Defiant because I mean Cisco's going to be in command, but I'd love to see the battle. It'd be really interesting.
Well, based on when the Brinok was released, though,
True.
Cisco isn't around. So gotta take Cisco out of the picture.
Interesting. And the more advanced technology, I mean, it has state-of-the-art things built in.
And is it really the Define anymore, or is it the Sao Paulo? I got to bring that up. I'm sorry.
Interesting.
Anyway, you guys call it. Leave it in the comments below. Who do you think would win? And that was the episode. A little short but sweet this time, but that's fine. We want to get looking at more ships from Star Trek games. So this was a very good introduction to that. I'm sure you guys enjoyed it. We certainly did, learning more about this ship.
Lots more, yeah.
So if you haven't played Armada 2 yet, what are you waiting for, guys? Come on, get on it. It's a great game. And with the new Fleet Operations mod, you get better graphics and a whole new level of playability. So it's worth downloading and installing the mod too. Yeah. So go, play. But before you leave, please click the like and subscribe buttons. And maybe while you're playing, you may want to listen to us talk about Star Trek ships. So head on over to Trekyards.com and load up some older episodes and check those out. We also have our Facebook and Twitter pages to keep you busy if you're bored as well. So till next time, guys, this is Captain Foley and Samuel Calkins telling you to live long and game on.
Bye, guys.